Welcome to Obi-Wan Studios, and I'm super excited to kick off the year with our first LEGO Star Wars 2025 set review, the 75402 ARC-170 Starfighter. Now, the last ARC-170 set was released in 2010, so it's been basically 15 years since we last got an ARC-170 from LEGO, so I sure have a lot of high expectations when it comes to this set. It released on January 1st for $70, comes with 497 pieces, and 4 total minifigs. We have 3 clone pilots, the first being Oddball, the second is Jag, and the third is an unnamed clone pilot. And then we have our astromech droid R4P44 for a pretty awesome minifig selection in this set in my opinion. And when it comes to the box art for this set, I just have to say, I think LEGO knocked it out of the park. The ARC-170 looks so great on Cato Nemoidia. You have the little glimpse of Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter within the box art on the front as well, hinting that this is kind of an Order 66 set a little bit. I just think it looks so sharp, and it's just a very strong start to our box arts for 2025. Turning to the back of the box, you see the build and what I assume is a Venator hanger for the box art, and then you see some of the set's play features highlighted, like the spring-loaded shooters and how the wing mechanism actually opens up. Now, the last thing I'll say in terms of the set's box art is that it's a little bit weird seeing the 332nd Trooper on the front of the box with that yellowish orange striping. It's a Revenge of the Sith set, not a Clone Wars era set, so it should have the blue stripe with Darth Vader on the front. I think this looks better, but in terms of LEGO being consistent with their sub-branding for the LEGO Star Wars sub-theme, it's just a little odd that they didn't get it quite right when it comes to this set. Just something worth mentioning. I'm just so excited to unseal the very first set for the channel in 2025. If you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already and just want to support my reviews and LEGO Star Wars content that I make, please consider subscribing. And now, let's get our ARC-170 all opened up. Inside of the box, we have our instructions manual, one rather large sticker sheet. There are a lot of stickers when it comes to this set, and 4 numbered bags. I'm going to go and build the ARC-170, and I will check back in with you guys once it is all built. Alright, I've got everything all built, and let's take a look at our minifigures first. So starting off with our clone pilots first, and I just have to say, I think these are easily the best clones that LEGO has made for a few years now. They are just absolutely incredible looking down to every last detail. All 3 of our clone pilots are completely identical except for the different designs on the helmets. We have Oddball's helmet, which looks really great when you compare it to what we see with him in episode 3. The exact same goes for Jag. His design looks really sharp and very accurate as well. And then lastly, we just have a regular clone pilot's helmet print design, which looks really great too. I think LEGO absolutely nailed all 3 of these designs compared to the source material. And underneath each helmet, we have the exact same face printing with kind of the yellowish visor as well, which looks really sharp when the helmet is on and blends in. It doesn't quite work if you just wanted to take the helmet off for play, but with the helmet on, they look just absolutely fantastic. As for the rest of their design, the printing looks really great on the front. You have a slight waist print and then some nice leg printing along with those lines for the feet. The back printing as well looks really good. And then when you combine it with those gray arms too, it just really brings everything all together. I just absolutely love these clone pilots. I think they are just so stellar looking, and getting Oddball and Jag together and then just one regular, I think was a very great selection for those 3 too. The clone pilots also come with a little blaster pistol too, just for an additional accessory. And then we have our astromech droid R4P44, who we also saw in the 2010 8088 ARC-170 set, so it's making another appearance. The design is just as you would expect for an astromech droid. The printing looks very good, and personally, I really do like the contrast of the dark green for the headpiece and the white of the body. I just think it's a cool looking astromech droid. The only thing here is just back printing is missing on these astromech droids. LEGO really needs to just print all of them, in my opinion. That would help the quality of the minifigures minifig, especially in a $70 set. But really, just an awesome selection of minifigs that we got in this set. The clone pilots, I think, are near flawless. Arm printing or dual motor legs, of course, would just be the icing on the cake. But even in this form, I think they are an easy 9 out of 10, if not a 9.5 out of 10. They are really awesome, and the minifigs in general, a really great selection for the ARC-170. Okay, so turning to our ARC-170 build here, and like I said at the beginning, I was so excited to get an ARC-170 from LEGO Star Wars, and when the pictures of the set first came out, you could definitely tell it was going to be a downsized build. But having it in person, it just makes it apparent at kind of the issue with downsizing here with this build is that LEGO, I don't think they paid that much attention or not enough attention to the proportions of the ARC-170 to still make it at least accurate looking and a decent model for display, because I think they missed the mark a bit here in terms of the way the build was actually downsized. And I'm going to get into all that with the details and kind of the features of our build. When it comes to the shaping of the front of the ARC-170, I think it was done fairly well. That hint of light green on the bottom of the nose too looks really awesome. We have a sticker on the top of the nose that then blends into the front pilot cockpit. Now, with all three of these windshield pieces, we unfortunately have a bit of an issue here in terms of the quality. Now, you have a sticker that goes across all three windshield pieces, and as you can see, the color isn't white. It doesn't match with the rest of the ARC-170. It's more of a kind of light gray almost. It just looks a little weird. And LEGO, on the front of the box for the ARC-170, on lego.com, on their website even, it shows these stickers as being white and matching the rest of the build. And it looks incredible, but that's just unfortunately not the reality of what you get. So just not the best look, in my opinion, that LEGO kind of doesn't show what you're actually getting in terms of what's on the front of the box and the actual product. So I'm just not a big fan of LEGO doing that. Now, the inside design of the pilot's cockpit has the chair leaned back quite a bit, and that's so that the pilot can actually fit inside of that forward cockpit. It just doesn't have the depth in order for him to sit up a bit more. So you can take Oddball, for example, place him in there with that foot plate, lean him backwards, and he looks pretty nice in there. The one kind of awkward thing about that foot plate being in there is that the printed control panel is kind of covered up a little bit and definitely looks a little odd being so low. So that's just a weird design choice for this, in my opinion, but it works fine enough, I guess. Moving up to the second position, which I believe is the co-pilot and main gunner's cockpit, the blue hits of color on the inside of this section look so great, especially when you combine it with the blue printed control panel at the very front. Now, I'm not sure if this printed control panel is a new design or not for this set. To me, it just doesn't look that Star Wars-y in its design. I'm just personally not really sold on it. You can let me know what you think of that piece in the comments down below, but the blue coloring definitely looks nice. You can place Jag inside there quite comfortably, and he looks good in there too. Now, when it comes to the rear gunner's cockpit, on the inside, it's very plain and kind of looks unfinished to me. You don't have any transparent colored cheese slope pieces, no printed control panel, nothing to add any details. So compared to the other two cockpits, where even the pilot at the front at least has a printed control panel, as you would expect, the rear gunner has nothing. So it just is a bit jarring almost, going from the main gunner who has all those nice blue pieces, that printed control panel, and then just nothing at the back. So I don't know. I really don't get that choice personally. And unfortunately, it doesn't get much better for our rear gunner when it comes to, well, the rear gun's design. There is this ugly gap at the back here, and I just don't get the design. It's not accurate to the ARC-170. It looks weird, and it doesn't impact the function of the rear guns as well. So I don't know, another weird design choice by LEGO. The ball joint system for the rear guns works very nice. That definitely is an improvement for the ARC-170, but that gap in the middle really takes away any improvement from the actual gun's function. In my opinion, it just doesn't look great. The stickers on either side look fine, but yeah, that gap is really all I can see when I look at the back of the ARC-170. In between the co-pilot and rear gunner's cockpits, we have our astromech docking port. You have to lift up both windshield pieces as it's a little bit snug with this downscaled ARC-170 build, but once R4P44 is in there and the windshield pieces are down, it's a pretty seamless design, and I think it looks pretty good in there too. Okay, now we can turn to the engines, and this is where the scaling issue starts to become really apparent. The actual design of the engines, I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I'm kind of indifferent. I think it looks fine. It's not fantastic. It's not terrible either, but they're definitely too small. When you look at an ARC-170 in Episode 3 or the Clone Wars, The engines here are clearly too small even at this scale, so they just look a bit wimpy in my opinion. The ARC-170 is supposed to be a big, powerful, kind of bulky starfighter, and this just doesn't really translate with the engine's design. When it comes to the rest of the engines, what I will say is that the midsection of them I think looks pretty good. There's no large gaps or anything. The Technic joints in there that actually are for the mechanism to open and close the S-foils, I think still translate to looking like engines, so that was designed I think pretty well, and the light pink translucent thrust at the back looks nice as well. And then we have the wings. Now, if you look at any shots again of the ARC-170 and then look at this build, it's instantly apparent that the wingspan of our build is way too small. It makes the ARC-170 build look far more wimpy than the engine intakes make it look. It's clearly, they're too small. They needed to be a little bit bulkier and at least, minimum probably 4 studs longer. So I really don't get the design of it here. I get that LEGO wanted to make a downsized model, but there's still a right and wrong way to go about it, and the wings design, I think they just totally missed the mark on it. On all 4 S-foils, yes, on the bottom ones even, you have a sticker for the Open Circle Fleet logo, and then a printed piece just for the color blocking between the red and the white of the S-foils and just overall wing design. And then this leads us on to the actual color blocking of the wings too, which just because they are downsized and not the proper scale for the wingspan, the actual color blocking here too is a bit off. This red section is far too large as well. This might be a nitpick to you, but it's just another flaw of the wings not being scaled properly to the rest of the build. Under the ends of each wing, we have the 2 laser cannons. The top one is a spring-loaded shooter. For play, it's a great play feature and it's in the proper spot that you'd want it for it to be accurate, but for display, it definitely makes the build look even worse with that spring-loaded shooter sticking out of the back there. Not the best look. The barrel on the underside looks fine, again, a bit downsized and not quite the proper scale that it should be. Now, to open up the S-foils, we have a totally new system for this ARC-170. You take this Technic piece and you just slide it side to side to open and close them, and it works really well. It's a very smooth system. They did a really great job with the actual design. I could definitely see some argument for the S-foils not opening up as much as they should for it to be accurate, but overall, I think it looks pretty good, and I think the system just works very, very well. And it also allowed just the midsection of the engines to look even better in terms of the design too, because the system's just all kind of incorporated and there's no bands or awkward open spaces that were needed in order for it to work properly. So yeah, I'm a fan of the system overall. And lastly, our ARC-170 doesn't have any landing gear at all. The entire underside of it is just flat, so it sits on a surface pretty nicely. The nose will make contact as well, and then there is a single stud underneath each laser cannon too, just to prop the wings up when it's placed on a hard surface and just down in its landed position. So that works pretty nice, but just not as fun as landing gear, and it certainly doesn't look as good with the ARC-170 just being flat underneath too, as it would have if it was a bit more rounded. So this set, to me, if I'm being honest, is a letdown. When I first heard the rumor that we were getting an ARC-170 in January of 2025, I was so excited. I was so hyped up. Of course, the trend with LEGO Star Wars is that they are downscaling playscale builds, so it was to be expected that we would get a downsized ARC-170, but I just think the designers missed the mark in terms of the scaling and still making it look good at a smaller scale. I think they could have easily have made the wings just a little bit longer, give it a bigger wingspan, make it look a bit bulkier in the midsection with the engine intakes and the engines overall. Then it would have looked a lot better, but they just didn't do that. And then there's things like the stickers for the cockpit pieces not looking like it does on the front of the box. And then that gap at the back for the rear gun, I just have absolutely no idea why that is there. You know, it's unfortunate that this set to me is a miss. LEGO could have easily have made it one of the greatest LEGO Star Wars sets of all time, at least one of the best Episode 3 sets of all time, and they just didn't deliver with it. The only redeeming quality for this set, in my opinion, is how fantastic those clone pilots are. They are stellar and certainly worth adding to a LEGO Star Wars collection. But the ARC-170 build, for me, it's not one I'm going to display in my display collection. It's just one I'm going to put in storage and, I'll have it when I make the comparison between all 3 ARC-170 builds. Yes, I'm going to be doing that, even comparisons between the minifigs in separate videos too. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see those comparison videos when they come out. But I would way rather display one of those, kind of spoiler alert, I guess, but I'd way rather display one of those for an ARC-170 LEGO build than this one. This is one that just, yeah, it missed the mark, unfortunately, in my opinion. And for $70 too, If it was good in terms of the actual build, then okay, maybe. But the minifigs are what are good about the build, really. So for $70, the build's design, even in itself, it's not there in my opinion. Thank you for watching my review on the 75402 ARC-170 Starfighter. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my take on the set. Maybe you like the build, and hey, I'm happy for you, and that's awesome. For me personally, it was just a miss, but I always love to hear your guys' thoughts on these sets in the comments. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel and want to support my reviews, please hit that subscribe button. And of course, too, all LEGO Star Wars 2025 sets I will be reviewing on the channel as well, so you can expect all of those throughout the year. Take care, everyone, and I will see you on the next LEGO Star Wars set review.